Let me start here. For the first time in living memory, the guns have gone quiet in Gaza. Hostages that have been held now for over 2 years have just walked free. And for the very first time, not in decades, but perhaps a millennia or two, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob have signed something that might resemble more than just a ceasefire. You have to understand before we start how significant and how impossible it is to reach this point. This is not like anything we've ever seen before. The conflict did not begin in 1948. It didn't begin with the British Mandate and the creation of the State of Israel. The story really begins with the ancient people of Israel and the sands of Canaan, where the people of Israel and the people called the Philistines clashed over the same spot of earth called Gaza. The Bible records Gaza as one of the 5 cities of the Philistines. And this is the place, Gaza is the place where the Philistines gathered their strength. It was in Gaza that Samson, the judge of Israel, was betrayed, captured, blinded, and paraded through the streets as the Philistines mocked him, much like you saw on October 7th. It was in Gaza that he brought the temple down on them, one man against the empire. History has a very long memory in that land. We call it the Gaza Strip today, but it has seen conquerors come and go, the Egyptians, the Babylonians, the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, the Ottomans, the British. And yet, somehow or another, the one rivalry that is from, 2,000, 3,000 years ago remains, the one between the children of Israel and those who dwell along the sea. That's an important thing. Palestinians of the ancient world, in biblical context, are different than the Palestinians. They were the group, they were not Semitic, they weren't Jewish, and they concentrated on the coast of Israel, Gaza. The modern Palestinian identity came, a millennia later, and that was shaped by the Arab, Islamic, and historic developments in that area. It's not directly connected to the Philistines. However, Philistine and Palestinian both mean people that dwell on the coast. The word Hamas is an acronym, which means, in their language, the Islamic resistance movement. But in Hebrew, Hamas means something altogether different. It means violence. And this is in Hebrew in Genesis 6:11. The earth was filled with Hamas, violence, corruption, wickedness. It was because of Hamas that the rains came and Noah had to build the ark, because of Hamas. So when you hear the word Hamas, understand what it means to the Israeli ear compared, to the Palestinian ear. It's not just an enemy, it's a biblical echo, a spiritual warning from deep, deep time. So for 75 years, they have been trying to make peace between these ancient adversaries. Everybody has tried to do it. In my lifetime, the Camp David Accords were in 1978, the Oslo Accords in 1993. Endless roadmaps, summits, UN resolutions, and nothing. Every single one of them hailed as historic, and each one declared a new chapter, and every one of them failed. And it's not because the diplomats lack skill, but because too many on, one side, the entire Arab world, didn't believe Israel had a right to exist. And everyone was looking for a political solution. Then comes Donald Trump. Donald Trump didn't approach this, as a professor of Middle East studies. He didn't approach this with the 100 years of expertise from the State Department. In fact, he looked at the State Department expertise and went, you guys aren't really experts at anything. You haven't solved anything. And you keep trying the same thing. What are we doing? He took a business approach. He knew all of the players because of business. He knew all of the big players. And so he got in with all of the players and found out, what do you really want? And what they really want is stability. If you look at what's being built in the Middle East, they are these incredible modern cities. Incredible modern cities. They want prosperity. The Middle East does. Hamas doesn't. He saw a region, Donald Trump did, he saw a region that was addicted to U.S. aid, endless negotiation, and so he just tore up the whole rule book, and he recognized Jerusalem, first thing, as the capital of Israel, a move every single president before has been told by the State Department, you can't do that, it'll cause war. And you know what? It didn't. He moved the embassy. He then walked away from the Iran deal. And he told the world that America is no longer going to apologize for standing with the only democracy in the Middle East. And that's where all of the anti-Semitic stuff comes. Because now, see, Israel is controlling our foreign policy. Israel is controlling Donald Trump. Donald Trump is doing the bidding of the Jews. No, he didn't. No, he wasn't being controlled. And no, they weren't controlling him. It was actually seemingly quite the opposite, because he did something extraordinary. He took the entire region and brought them together. First, he did it with the Abraham Accords. That is the first genuine realignment of the region in a generation, or maybe two. And it wasn't about ideology. It was all about survival, prosperity, and the shared fear of Iran's growing shadow. When we drop the bombs on Iran, Americans and people in the West and people who have been educated in our universities and been indoctrinated with all this garbage, they looked at that and said, oh my gosh, look at, he's doing Israel's bidding. No, he was actually doing Israel's bidding. He was doing Saudi Arabia's bidding. He was doing Turkey's bidding. He was doing a bidding of Egypt. Everyone in the Middle East. Everyone in the Middle East hates Iran. They know how dangerous Iran is. They wanted somebody to put Iran in its place. So when Donald Trump did, the Middle East, the Arab world, celebrated. Now, obviously not all of it, but a lot of it. The ones that are now at the table. He did something else. He proved himself to be an honest broker and not doing the bidding of just Israel. And I would love to hear all of the people who are now standing up and saying, see, we're just a puppet. I would love for you to understand. I would love to hear your explanation of this. When Israel went after Qatar, which I don't have any love at all for Qatar, but they went after Qatar. And that was going to blow this whole thing up. What happened? Donald Trump went to Benjamin Netanyahu and said, you need to apologize to Qatar. Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel's not going to apologize. They ended up apologizing to Qatar. It won't happen again. That gave Donald Trump the image in the Middle East of not being the little boy toy, but the other way around. He has some control of what Israel is going to do. He can tell them, knock it off. Then when everybody came to the table, the Middle East all came to the table and said, okay, we'll handle Hamas, you handle Israel. So they got Hamas to the table and said, you're going to take this, and we're going to guarantee the peace. And Donald Trump went to Benjamin Netanyahu, and Benjamin Netanyahu said, we have to finish the job. We have to finish them off. And Donald Trump said, no, you're going to take this deal now. And Benjamin Netanyahu said, no, we have to finish them off. And he said, I don't think you hear me. You're going to take this deal. That's how this happened. That's a miracle. He didn't try to make them friends. He tried to make them partners. They all want prosperity. And now we are looking at the fruits of the labor that started with the Abrahamic Accords. The Arab states signed it to enforce peace rather than to sabotage it. For the first time in 4,000 years, the blood-soaked sands of Gaza whispers something today that has been forgotten for 4,000 years, and that is hope. If it holds, even if it holds for a year, 5 years, 10 years, it means centuries of hatred has been overtaken by something stronger than hate. And even if we just start with survival, that's good. It means that the children of Abraham, which is both the Arab and the Jew, the descendants of Abraham, long divided by faith and pride, have decided choose life over death trying to prove you're right. It means the biblical land of Gaza, where Samson fell, where violence has filled the earth, might finally learn the meaning of peace. But if it doesn't, and the rockets return and the lies reawaken, and this will just be another tombstone in the desert of broken promises. But the Bible says, blessed are the peacemakers. The Lord hates the hands that shed innocent blood. So if this holds, if courage triumphs over chaos, let's remember that peace is not the absence of war. It's the presence of righteousness. And righteousness, true moral clarity, demands that we call evil by its name. And we stand with truth even when it's costly. And we defend the innocent even when the world looks away. And now it is our job, as long as this holds, to rebuild. I am so happy to say we are not being asked to rebuild. Not our money. The Middle Eastern money is coming in now to rebuild the region, as it should be. Men haven't suddenly become good. But for once, maybe they are choosing life over death and survival. Or perhaps they've remembered and seen God's warning and chosen mercy over their rage. All right, we're going to give you some of the sounds from the Middle East here in just a second. First, let me tell you about LifeLock. Our online footprint is bigger than you think. It's in your banking, it's shopping, it's your health information, your taxes, your kids' school accounts, databases that you've never even heard of, and it's there. And it's not just you, it's your whole household, spouses, parents, even your kids' information. And one of those get breached. The data doesn't just sit in a folder. It gets passed around like currency. LifeLock monitors for uses of your personal information in places that don't make sense. Credit applications, dark web listings, data leaks. It alerts you if something looks off. Unlike credit monitoring alone, LifeLock looks beyond new account fraud to catch the subtler stuff. If there is a problem, you're not left fending for yourself. LifeLock's U.S.-based restoration team works to fix it. The internet made everything more convenient, including crime. So when life gets busy, tax season, a move, new job, get LifeLock. LifeLock, let them keep watch over your entire life. Stay protected and stay a step ahead. Protect yourself with LifeLock. Join now and save up to 40% off your first year with the promo code BECK. That's 1-800-LifeLock, 1-800-LifeLock, or LifeLock.com. Promo code BECK, save 40%. 1-800-LifeLock or LifeLock.com, promo code BECK. 10-second station ID. Welcome to Stu Begier, our executive producer. A historic day.
An incredible day. One that many people did not think was possible.
Oh.
And I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to bring up questions about what comes after this. And I think those are totally legitimate. But the bottom line is the hostages that are alive are back. This isn't something we have to predict anymore. This isn't something we have to, cast doubt on, worry about. It's occurred. The families are all over social media hugging their relatives. That's actually happening today. which is incredible.
After 2 years.
2 years of just, the guy who famously we saw him
in the mine.
Digging his own grave. Like, he's back.
Imagine that.
I can't even imagine. Certainly over 2 years, you have to be resigned to the fact that you're never seeing them again. If you're a family member, you're sitting there and you go on TV all the time and plead for them to come back and hope and pray and work and do everything you can. But there has to be part of you, certainly in dark moments, where you just realize you're never going to see them again. And then here we are. This is happening. Miracles obviously start from a higher place than Donald Trump, but he was used as a conduit here, and I'm glad that this has occurred.
It's amazing. I'm watching Air Force One getting ready to take off from Tel Aviv because it's now heading over to Egypt, which is about a 20-minute trip, I think. It is. This is leadership. Remember, everybody said, we're going to be a laughing stock of the world. We're just going to be a war all the time. Blah, blah. Look, this is leadership.
Yeah.
This is America and our president leading the world to peace. I've never seen anything like this. This is beyond what Ronald Reagan did with communism. I really believe that. This guy has solved 8 wars. Now, communism... Well, I can't say communism affected more people than this did to some degree. You know what I mean? But this is crazier. This is 4,000 years.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting. That's an interesting. I'd have to put a little bit more thought into that if I was going to rank them. But it's really, really important.
It's really important.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue either way.
Sure, but I think you can go. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can talk about there. I think. One of the things that's fascinating about this moment is Donald Trump loves this. This is by far his favorite part of this job.
He's a deal maker.
Yeah.
He's a deal maker.
If you like Donald Trump and you want to see Donald Trump at his happiest, watch this speech today. He is so in his element. He is so thrilled to be talking about this. He's busting on the people in the Knesset. He's roasting his relatives. He is thrilled and deserves this moment of adulation and credit. Everyone's laughing at all of his jokes. Everyone's clapping for everything he says. It's because it's an incredible achievement. It's a wonderful day, and we should be thankful.
Back in a minute.
This is Glenn Beck.
Yeah, I don't really know who loves the idea of buying or selling a home. I really don't. I guess some people do, and then you get into the middle of it and you're like, appraisals, inspections, closing costs, a mountain of paperwork. It feels like it was designed to test your sanity, really. And through it all, you start wondering, who's actually on my side here? That's why I created Real Estate Agents I Trust. It's not a random list. It's a network of hand-picked professionals who earn their spot by showing real results and real character. We vet these agents 6 ways to Sunday, and they know their markets inside and out. They communicate clearly. They actually listen, and they understand that buying or selling a home isn't just a transaction. It is a life move. So when you work with a real estate agent, from realestateagentsitrust.com. This is somebody you can trust. You're not just checking boxes. You're working with one of the best people who understand that you're taking one of the most important steps in your life. And it's somebody beside you who gets it. So don't guess. Find out the real estate agent that we recommend. This is my company, realestateagentsitrust.com. That's realestateagentsitrust.com.
Sign up to the new email newsletter. It's free, and it gives you every story we talk about every day. Sign up now at glennbeck.com.
Welcome to the Glenn Beck Program. Quite an incredible day. And, I would just like to hear from those people today that have been saying, Donald Trump is going to get us in all kinds of wars and blah, 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 blah. No, apparently not. The real problem is that people, when George W. Bush told me in the Oval Office back in 2007 or 8, He said, don't worry, Glenn. The next person that gets in here, no matter what party they're from, they're going to realize they're going to have to do pretty much the same thing because they'll have the same advisors and they'll know that their hands are really tied as president. And that scared the hell out of me. I mean, he was trying to make me feel better, but I didn't feel better. Wait a minute, the president really doesn't have any power to do anything? We're going to continue to go down this road even though it doesn't work? That's why when Obama got in, nothing really changed. He didn't shut anything down or do anything big because he was going for the same advisors. And so all these advisors are like, we've got 100 years of experience. We've been working on these things, and it's gonna pass. Donald Trump came in and said, I don't agree with any of this stuff. We're going to try something different. And so he got rid of those advisors, and he's like, who'd you just marry, honey? Yeah, okay, bring him over here. We're going to send him to the Middle East. I mean, he broke all of the rules. And he's a negotiator, and he's a business guy, and he's a builder. So he thinks differently. And look at the difference. I mean, if you want to look at the way he has changed the world, he has greatly changed the world. We're not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination. But he is greatly changing the world. He is breaking everything that the State Department and the years of the guys who have been thinking exactly the same way, what they've been building, he's breaking all of that. And he's like, no, we're going to build it a different way. We're not going to be a global community where everybody is answering to, the United Nations. We're going to be our own states, and that's the way it should be. Now, if you don't like that, if you want to be a global community, that's fine. But that doesn't mean we all go to war with each other, as you're seeing. If you find a way for everybody to work together, if you find a way that where everybody wants to be successful and have some peace, now there are going to be some people like Iran. I don't know what's going to happen with Iran, but I'm hoping that there is some sort of mutual agreement between the Arab states that, if Iran starts something, it's not going to just be, it's not just going to be Israel that has to respond or the United States. It's time for the Middle East, now that they're together, to take that on themselves if there is trouble there, because that one hasn't been solved yet. But he reached out and said, look, Iran, we don't have to be enemies. Now is the time for you to come to the table as well.
It's so clear that this is how he actually sees the world, right? He does see the world. Peace through strength is something that he really believes in. He talked about it quite a bit in the speech about how this didn't happen because he was decided to let everyone have what they want or to be super nice to everyone. This happened because they have really big weapons that are really powerful that hit the targets they want to hit. Mm-hmm. And many of them he shared, as he pointed out, shared with Israel. Many of which that they have themselves to use when needed. And he didn't. That is the approach here. This is not it's so weird because I think the left and the media see Donald Trump as a guy who is either this maniacal hawk that is going to go just blow up everything all the time. That's one of the worries that they said. And we said at the time, that's none of his history points to this.
Nothing
what
in his history.
What are you talking about that? But also,
back to when he was 20 years old, he talked about this stuff. He hates war.
Yeah. And I think some other establishment criticism comes to him because, you look at like what Russia did with Ukraine, right? And you say, okay, well, Russia invaded Ukraine. And there's a lot of people like on the hawkish, right, who would say, okay, like they're in the wrong here. Why are we going to go and do anything with them? And say that he's too weak on these issues. He's constantly trying to give everyone what they want. He's always negotiating. And like neither of those are really true. Like there are elements of those. Like Donald Trump will attack a country he believes is in the wrong if he needs to. You've seen it with Soleimani back in the day. He'll do the things he believes he needs to do, but he's not ideologically committed to doing that all the time. The same thing with the negotiating.
He's also limited in his scope.
Yeah, usually limited in his scope. Same thing with, but like not limited in his scope when it comes to ISIS.
No.
Right? Like he came in and was like, he talked about that in the speech too. He's like, I talked to General Raising Cane And everyone told me it was going to take 4 or 5 years. He told me it would take 4 weeks, but we'd probably have time left over. And he was right. We did it his way. He found a general who was on the ground who said, look, I don't want to talk ill about my superiors, but here's what I think we could do. And he picked him and he said, well, do it your way because your way makes sense. And then it was over in a month, right?
Incredible.
That is a totally different way of looking at these things. And because he just doesn't have that, he's not involved in that world where there's just calcification over ideas, like exactly what we talked about when it comes to George W. Bush, right? Like, this is kind of where we are, and the same advisors advise the same things, and it doesn't always mean that it works out perfectly. It doesn't always mean he's always right. He is a guy, I think, with that type of stuff, at least when it does go down the wrong road, oftentimes he'll reconsider. I think that's what happened with Russia. He went down that road with Russia. He really, and again, he talked about this in the speech, believed he could solve that immediately. He said it before the election. He said we could get that done in a couple of days. He said, I called over and Witkoff was in there talking, and it was 15 minutes in, and I called him like, why is this taking so long? And they're like, he's still in there, and he talked to him for 5 hours, and it didn't happen. And he admitted it didn't happen, and you saw the change that he had there, where he was all of a sudden saying, well, you know what, maybe Russia isn't serious about this, and we should start doing more to put pressure on them in other ways. But that's oftentimes just mocked as failure, right? He went in there with this big approach and it didn't work. Well, he's trying something else. He's trying things that he believes will end these conflicts. And that is consistent with who he's been for a very long time. You can come up with criticisms for Donald Trump, but this stuff has been pretty successful. The stuff that he's done, particularly in the Middle East, has been incredibly successful.
Name the president that has not moved us closer to war or brought us into war in the last 5, where we've had troops on the ground. We're sending troops everywhere. Name the last president that didn't do that.
I guess you could say Joe Biden, who's withdrew a bunch of troops from Afghanistan. That didn't work out very well.
But didn't get us just slaughtered.
It made everything worse.
Yeah.
No, you're right. It's not his. He has a priority for this not to occur. It's very important to Donald Trump, I think, quite clearly, and he believes he can get it done. And in some circumstances, it's worked. Which, by the way, nothing else we try typically works. Sometimes war will end the thing you're dealing with at that given moment. We have seen that happen, but oftentimes does turn into something worse in the long term. And to be clear here, one of the problems that if we were going to poke holes in this at all as to what happens so far, there is always a completely ridiculous ratio of how many Palestinians get released compared to how many Israelis get.
20 to 2,000.
To 2,000. It's 100 to 1 in this case. And it's always 50, 100, 150 to 1. It's always something like this.
And you look at the guys who are coming back from Israel, and they're all healthy and well-fed, look like they've just been at a resort. And then you look at the hostages coming back from Hamas, and they just look horrible.
They look either bad to horrible.
Yeah.
And the issue here is all of the people that were taken hostage by Hamas will return back to life in Israel, hopefully be able to adjust to a life with their families, going to church, living as they were, or at least as close as they can get to that.
It'd be weird if the Jews started going to church.
Well, whatever. Well, I don't know if they're all Jews. I mean, there was people from other countries as well. But the opposite will happen likely with the 2,000 Palestinians. Many of these were hardcore terrorists. Yeah. Many of them were real criminals. Many of them were either involved or suspected to be involved heavily in the October 7th attacks.
Yeah,
what do these people do in the future? There's a lot to come here.
So there's a difference, though. They're releasing, many of them that are being released did not have charges against them. Mm-hmm. They were scooped up and not charged with something. So, they were holding these to keep combatants off the battlefield. Mm-hmm. But they were not necessarily charged.
They didn't have them. They were the ones on video murdering children.
Correct.
Right. It wasn't them. So
correct.
But again, some of them were suspected. They believed they had planning, possibilities. They were in groups with the people who were doing these things. And there is certainly a risk, as we've seen after 9/11, that when you take terrorists and you put them in Guantanamo for a few months and then you release them back, they become the heads of ISIS.
Correct.
Like, this stuff does happen.
Correct.
So there's a long road ahead. This is not it's a victory lap for a very small piece of this, but a very important piece of it.
If they can keep the peace between the Arab world, forget about Hamas. You keep the peace and you hold together a coalition of the Arab world with Israel, that's worth all of it.
Massively important. Massive. And while it might not necessarily solve Hamas or Hezbollah or any of these other groups, if we have a place where Israel and many of these Arab nations are in a good place together,
trading with each other,
and maybe some of these countries are actually overseeing Gaza. And they are the ones that need to come in and be the bad guys when Hamas does these things. It's a totally different dynamic. There's no way to turn against Israel if that situation is true, if that relationship can be maintained, and that'll be difficult. There will be times where that's going to be really difficult to maintain. But again, it's a path. It's like a possibility of success. We were in a situation, I mean, as long as we've done the show together, Glenn, 100% of the time, I was convinced this was never going to occur, where there would even be a chance where Arab nations and Israel would be buddy-buddy, or at least something close to it.
I would say 99.9% of the time, because the Arab Accords were so historic. You're like, wait, what just happened?
Accords,
the Abraham Accords.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. And of course, there's always the possibility of a miracle. That's the only thing really I held out hope for.
Right.
This might be it manifesting itself. And that's great.
Here's what Hillary Clinton said. I really commend President Trump and his administration, as well as Arab leaders in the region, for making the commitment to a 20-point plan and seeing path forward for what's often called the day after. It's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of coordination. But the U.S. took advantage of an opening that was available, and we were able to be successful. That's great. Good for her. Not what Biden said. No, the Biden administration is like, Donald, what? Who? Duck? Are you? I don't know what you're talking about. But congratulations, Hillary Clinton, for at least being honest, which you know who's honest today. If you're not saying, wow, good job, Donald Trump, well, you know, you're not an honest broker of anything. All right, back in just a second. Every meal tells a story, where it came from, who raised it, and whether it was done right. Most people don't think about, their food anymore. They just grab whatever's on sale, wrapped in plastic, shipped from God only knows where. But when you sit down to a steak or a burger and it's from Good Ranchers, you know exactly what you're getting. 100% American meat raised on family farms and packed right here in the USA. Good Ranchers, they partner directly with American farmers and ranchers, real people who care about the quality, honest work, and feeding families here in America the right way. And when you choose them, you're not just buying meat. You're backing the people who still believe in doing things right and still working hard on American farms. From now through Thanksgiving, Good Ranchers is asking families to share a meal together every Thursday, just once a week. One lucky family is going to win a free Thanksgiving ham. Just share your photo on your Instagram story, tag @GoodRanchers, and use hashtag back to the table. Visit goodranchers.com. Use my code Beck when you subscribe. You'll get an additional $40 off, plus free meat for life. Check it out now. Promo code Beck at goodranchers.com. That's goodranchers.com. Welcome to the table.
The rope may break, but the ride goes on. This is Glenn Beck.
So maybe you've done the work before. You've, counted and cut and measured and pushed yourself, and all the calorie talk has been there, and you've tried every plan that's promised a fresh start, only to watch the weight creep back, slow and steady, like a tide that you can't turn back. And every time it gets a little harder to believe the next attempt will be any different. The truth is, weight loss isn't just about your effort. It's about what happens beneath the surface, how your body handles blood sugar and hunger cues and stored fat and all sorts of stuff. That's where Lean comes in. It is a non-prescription oral supplement designed to basically help you through this by medical professionals to support metabolic health in a way that your body actually understands. It helps balance blood sugar, it helps reduce cravings, and it helps improve the way your body uses fat for energy, all without, injections or clinic visits or burnout that comes with chasing results that you can't sustain. Because the real victory isn't losing the weight, it's losing the cycle. And, the endless back and forth that leaves you feeling like you're starting over every few months is not what you want. And lean is about stability. It's about finally giving your body the consistent support it needs to stay where you've worked so hard to get. If you want to lose meaningful weight at a healthy pace and keep it off, add lean to your diet and exercise lifestyle. You can get 20% off right now with the code BLAZE. TakeLean.com is the place to go. TakeLean.com. The code is BLAZE.
I am so excited for the M1 Gala for His Glory. It's happening on Saturday, October 18th. This is the gala that we do once a year to pay for all the light bills and everything else, pay the staff salary. So when I come on the air and I say, hey, there's a hurricane, every dime goes to that. It's happening. It's a really important thing. It also helps us fund a pile that we have that we can use for anything. So before I start raising money for a hurricane or some event, we have $1 million or so in the bank that we can use for anything. So I can say, get the planes off, and fill them with food and get them there now. And we have that money to be able to start things before I can get to the air and get to you to ask you for help. It's a really incredible evening. It is happening on October 18th. That is this Saturday, right? This Saturday here in the Dallas area. It's our Maximum Impact Fund. Together, restoring the human spirit, Mercury One, because when help is needed, we answer the call because of you. Get your tickets now at mercury1.org, mercury1.org. All righty. Something else I wanted to tell you about. Barry Weiss, the reporting over at CBS is remarkably different.
Starting to change already.
Yeah, before she got there.
I had heard that she was just demanding employees tell her what they do. Like some sort of tyrant.
Yeah. Authoritarian. Here's before the reporting from CBS News. Before, hospitals and health clinics in Gaza City are on the brink of collapse. Nearly 2 weeks into the offensive, 2 clinics have been destroyed by airstrikes. 2 hospitals shut down after being damaged, with medicine equipment and food in short supply, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. This is after she arrives. Israel's retaliatory war in Gaza against Hamas, which is the U.S. and Israel consider a terrorist organization, has killed more than 67,000 people, according to the Hamas-run Gaza Ministry of Health, which does not distinguish between civilian and combatant casualties. That's quite a difference. Quite a difference. CBS may actually have a chance of survival.
This is Glenn Beck.